Welcome. Namaste. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my husband, Jim Wright. The name of our program today is Creating Heaven on Earth, Part 2. This is Quantum Gazing for June 17th, 2023. We're so happy that you could join us today, and we once again have a very chock-full program and some mind-boggling things to tell you about what has been happening to us in the past month or so. Before we start, however, I'd like to refer to our last month's program and mention that we did not realize that our friend Louise Hawley has gone on to the hereafter, onto her next adventure, survived by her wonderful husband, Jack Hawley, author and spiritual teacher. On another topic from our last month's program, we have learned that tens of thousands of people have unfortunately lost their jobs and their homes in the past few months. Consequently, the Caretaker Gazette is no longer taking applications for caretakers of homes and estates in the U.S. or Europe. And now let's begin with a prayer. Beloved Lord, mighty archangels, masters of light, and saints east and west, we gratefully thank all of you for your continual grace, your healing and protection of all those who love God and who seek your help and inspiration. As we come to the climax of the current divine drama on earth and put our new skills into practice, we humbly ask that you strengthen each one of us and energetically give us confidence in working with weather, earth changes, and with each other to bolster our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social health so that we can be ever more capable instruments of God in helping Him to bring world uplift for humanity. Kindly help us to remain humble and surrendered and ever listening for direction and correction within ourselves by your grace. Amen.
So now we'll take a look at what the program is going to contain today. We're going to talk about living the inspired life, grounding and presence, unveiling the ancient mystery schools, 3 levels or aspects of self-realization, being stuck in the head, self-awareness and deconditioning, how to do inquiry, quantum gazing, awareness in the feet and the belly, mastery of the 49 rays of God, I say 42nd, it's actually the 22nd ray invocation, a mini spiritual healing kit, memento mori, and some assignments for doing between now and the next time that we meet.
And now we have a chart that begins with, if you're... Let's do our disclaimer before we go another step. Jim, could you read that, please?
Sure. First of all, it's always helpful if you take a few notes because we cover so much material, and you can always go back and re-watch these videos, but taking notes is probably a good idea. We don't diagnose, prescribe, or cure. We're not medical doctors. And we encourage everyone to see their healthcare professionals and use this as an educational and inspirational program, which is what it is. It's protected under the free speech that is guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. It's never meant to harm or coerce anyone in any way, but only to empower you, the viewers.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And then the next chart is there. If you feel as if you don't fit into this world, it's because you're here to help create a new one. Earlier in my life, I was often invited to be a guest speaker at numerous Native American gatherings in Alaska and in the lower 48 states. They had invited me to talk about the miracles and prophecies of Mother Mary, and also about Satya Sai Baba. They wanted to know everything that they could about him, his life, his work, his miracles, his writings, and his teachings. The native people told me that in a few decades hence, which is actually now, that the ancient secrets of all of the sacred knowledge of indigenous peoples everywhere would begin to become available to the public on all continents, and that it would be appreciated by non-native people, and that non-native people especially would need those teachings very, very much. Years ago, as we know, the ancient scrolls of the Essene writings were discovered and translated, and then most of you may know that 1,500 years ago, the Sufis began to study what has become now known as the 9 personality types of the sacred Enneagram, which was brought to the West by the famous teacher Gurdjieff. Now, Jim is going to show you the cover of the book, The Wisdom of the Enneagram, which is one of the best entry books on studying the Enneagram of the 9 personality types. Thank you, Jim. The Enneagram is now being studied by hundreds of thousands of people on all continents. It's not merely a study of the 9 personality types, which are within all of us. All 9 of them are within each one of us, but it's a deep dive into our foibles as well as our gifts of the Spirit. Globally, students of the Diamond approach to self-realization, that is, students of the 43 branches of the Ridwan school globally, are discovering how to connect to Spirit within as essence and to merge with the essence or Atma or Holy Spirit in order to serve humanity in this new era of world uplift. Native Americans, as we said, are also sharing their own ancient prophecies, their secret wisdom, and ceremony to be able to help non-natives preserve the land and to respect all of life and to stay grounded and present as they learn to walk on the red path or the path of beauty. That means the path of character, love, and nobility. In my own spiritual journey, when I started with Sai Baba in 1983, I immediately began to beg him to confer self-realization on me. Oh, please, please, I would pray over and over, please grant me self-realization. Finally, one day when I went to see him and he brought us in for an interview, he said, I heard you the first time. You don't need to keep asking me over and over. I understand that's what you want. I will give it to you when your children are grown and when you have fewer responsibilities and more time to be quiet while still living in the world as a householder. He kept his promise, and he provided Savikalpa Samadhi to me on August the 1st, 1988, which put me in a trance-like state for 20 days. That was followed by decades of Kundalini activation to purify the body and the emotions, the mind, and to anchor the entire experience into every aspect of my being. But even then, although it was accompanied by lots of phenomena, and the path is not about phenomena, though phenomena come with the territory, I still felt that there was another veil to be lifted. It wasn't complete, that there was more purification necessary, but I didn't know what to do. Pardon me. So I kept doing service, meditating twice a day, saying my mantra, doing all sorts of practices to clarify and purify myself. But the fact is, I didn't realize until just recently, when it was pointed out to me, that I was stuck. I was stuck for years and didn't even know it, like most people. The fact is, I wasn't very grounded and I wasn't very present. So 3 months ago, I experienced the next stage, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which lifted the final veil. In experiencing dozens of visions and gifts of the Spirit as a result, I realized that something new had taken place that felt very final. For 2 weeks in April of this year, there was a fresh startup of this profound energy downloading into the crown chakra, which felt like a power hose of energy that was about 8 inches wide, pounding into my head continually for 14 days. That's 2 weeks of light, about 8 inches wide, coming down into my head and into my heart. It felt as if a powerful energy were throttling down into my throat and then into the heart chakra, and then images as well as visions and colors began to come with it. I then begged our spiritual teacher, Sri Madhusai, to confirm what was happening to me. I wanted to know once and for all if I had experienced Savikalpa Samadhi, then Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and if I actually were about to begin a new phase of spiritual consciousness. It turned out that on April 14th of this year, 2023, Madhusai came to the United States and actually to Colorado with a small entourage on his trip of 43 days around the world, making 40 stops. I call those the touch-and-go darshans. The plane would go up and down all across the world, and it must have been extremely stressful for the entourage, but they always looked very fresh and joyful to see all the groups they met across the world. So Madhusai sent word he was coming to the Denver area and was inviting Jim and me to attend a small gathering, a satsang, at a private home for a few hours. During that small satsang gathering, he confirmed in front of the group that, indeed, in 1988, I had experienced Savikalpa Samadhi, and that just days before, in that very April, I had had the final veil removed. Finally, he said, now, addressing me and everyone, everywhere, now what I want you to do the rest of your life is to stay in Sahaja Samadhi, in other words, staying established in God consciousness, focused within, grounded, present, yet still functioning productively in the world as a householder. Now, this is called constant integrated awareness. Satya Sai Baba spoke of that for decades and decades, and I thought I was doing it, but it turned out I really wasn't. There was much more to experience and explore and to discover. Now, living the inspired life is what we are all to be doing. And living the inspired life shows us that life's an ongoing series of inner revelations, and it's wondrous, it's educational, it's inspiring and entertaining. We have discovered recently, speaking of living the inspired life, a modern mystery school that had openings for Jim and me after we applied to be accepted, and we were accepted. As soon as we began to attend the Zoom classes and the in-person retreats, learning to become more self-aware through focusing our attentions on our feet and solar plexus, or Hara center, rapid changes began to happen. I realized, as I said, that I had been stuck for years without realizing it. In our Tai Chi Cha class, our teacher emphasized that we should start to focus our attention on the belly and the feet. As soon as we did that, 3 experiences began to immediately happen to yours truly. Number 1, I noticed that while I was in the Tai Chi Cha class, that large etheric bandage-like strips of energy, like mummy wrappings began to unwind from my legs. They were invisible to other people, but I could see them etherically. As that was happening, I began to recall early family and cultural messages that had been drummed into my head from toddlerhood. We all begin to receive our training as babies and toddlers, and sometimes it takes a lifetime to decondition ourselves, and very few people have that opportunity. They don't even realize they've been conditioned in every possible way. So one of the messages that came to mind as these mummy wrappings of energy were unraveling around my body was, conform or get clobbered. Now, that didn't mean get beat up. It just meant that if you don't follow directions, if you are not a good little girl, then you are going to be sorry. So if you don't obey every directive of parents, teachers, and authority figures, you're going to be punished and humiliated. Well, the next family and educational message that unraveled from my energy field was, in this family, you must be perfect and you must be a leader, or you will regret it. In other words, everybody has been given different family, school, social, and religious messages, of course, but now, in our current history, our human conditioning is being unwound. And most of us are beginning to feel lighter and lighter and somewhat different from our former selves. I also began to realize I had been operating all of my life from a very superficial personality construct, and I didn't realize it. I thought I was being open, sincere, authentic, genuine, real, and yet there was more that was soon to be coming. Now, unraveling my early conditioning, which happens for everybody, has to do the conditioning of gender and race or ethnicity or national identity or fears, phobias, and biases, insecurity, religious programming, and pride or arrogance, having to do with anything that you can imagine regarding those things. The next thing that began to happen about a month or 6 weeks ago is that I began to see bright auras around people in my Tai Chi Cha class. And although I'd seen periodic auras several times, maybe 6 or 10 times in my life, it was coming very quickly now and at very surprising times. Then I began to see auras around people in our mystery school classes. And then finally, one day, I was in a group meditation on a retreat on May 19th, just last month, the first day of our new school, when the Alberta forest fires erupted in Canada, sending dark smoke south to Colorado and to the Plains states. On the first day of our retreat, as I sat doing a new meditation in a group of about 20 people in the room, all of a sudden I felt my aura suddenly expand to the side walls of the interior building, which could hold about maybe 150 or more people. And my aura went shooting up to the ceiling, so I could feel my aura touching the ceiling and the side walls and being very expansive. Then the next thing I knew, suddenly I shot out of my physical body, in my etheric body, and found myself sitting on the top of the outside of the roof of the building, surveying the forest fire smoke that was enshrouding Colorado, looking around, noticing how the smoke had collected, and then shot down into the meditation room and back into my body. None of that was voluntary. It was very surprising. Then, on about 5 occasions since then, I began to smell spiritual fragrances emitting from the heart chakra of 2 of my teachers, my Tai Chi Cha teacher and the teacher of our retreat, as well as from my own heart center. It was very surprising that so much was happening etherically so quickly. I had no idea how to turn it off or turn it on. It was all involuntary, so I just noticed with interest, and I kept watching my breath, and I kept my attention on my feet and on my belly center. It did seem to bring about quite an acceleration of effects, although we know that this process of awakening is not about phenomena. Now, over the past 2 months, when my spiritual experiences were extremely intense, Jim and I would drive to nearby Colorado lakes for relief. That is, and the mere fact of just sitting or walking near the large bodies of water, not going in to swim or anything, but just being near them, would instantly ground us and bring us back to presence with the presence within. And Jim, thankfully, didn't have any of these experiences, so he was able to function much more effectively than I was, although I was working on being present and being grounded. Attention in the feet, in the belly, feet, belly, and that seemed to help. Events accelerated from there the past month, and as Jim and I have practiced our self-awareness assignments, some of which we're going to share with you, we're becoming more aware of what is transpiring inside our bodies, as well as all around us in the environment. That is one of the practices, and you could practice that too. Just noticing what is going on in your head inside, and your arms and your torso and your hips and legs and feet all throughout the day. Just being aware of what's happening inside you and also what's happening outside you in every direction. Now we realize that having such things as interdimensional bilocation experiences are something not everybody experiences, although more and more people are. When this happens, oftentimes we're being used by God to heal others, and we oftentimes will see now certain colors or shapes, and that also has to do with being aware that something is changing or shifting and that we're not doing anything. And naturally, we would never, ever take credit for anything that God does. Nothing happens without God's grace. So seek His grace before every act that you do, and seek His blessing before every project. We don't ever want to identify with any of these phenomena because they're happening to us and for us, but not from us. And we don't want to become attached to them in an egoic sense. Now, when all of these things begin to happen, the ego, the superego, can have a field day with that and start to make you feel puffed up as if you're really something. Well, you're not. This is a conundrum. We are actually divine. We're all divine. We're the ocean, not the bubble or the wave. And yet at the same time, this is all an aspect of the Creator, Almighty God, and how He wishes to express Himself individually as each of us. Now, next we began to work more often over the past month or two with the Ascended Masters on weather, storms, floods, fires, and various upheavals happening on the earth right now. As I mentioned to you before, about 2 months ago, as I was typing up the monthly gazing program, St. Walburga came and stood behind my right shoulder and said, "Tell them," meaning you viewers, "that I'm helping them," that's you, with storms and tornadoes. That was her second visit to me in 30 years. Once 30 years ago, and then now, to assist us to be more effective in working with the environment. So as a result of that visit to us, we put her image in the Masters of Light slideshow. Now, in working with the Masters today, we don't have images of them, but we're going to show you how to work with the 22nd Ray of God and the invocation that goes with it. First, however, we're going to share some very exciting information and interesting information on the 49 Rays of God and the 7 color groupings for the various topics covered by the Ascended Masters when they work with us using the 49 Rays of God. Now you might wonder, well, how did the material on the 49 Rays of God happen to be given to its author, Mrs. B.J. King, and her 2 co-authors, Ortiz and Locke? B.J. was given the original material on the rays by beloved Master Jesus, by Master Dwalkul and Master El Morya Khan. Each of the rays is of God, as we said, is an aspect of the Almighty Creator and comes from the heart of God. Each ray is responsible for the evolution of consciousness and humanity as it moves into greater love and mastery. Now then, Jim is going to show you the book cover of the 49 Rays of God. As we said before, this is a 2-volume book, and you can easily find it online. And it's really worth its weight in gold. So, all right, over time, the discernible spectrum of colors has increased by God from the primary colors seen on Earth, and then their pastel hues, then to earth tones, then to metallic colors, and we've seen that over the past few decades, metallic colors on cars and lampshades and furniture and so on, and then to fluorescent colors, and now we're seeing that fluorescent colors are quite popular in fashion these days, and then to pearlescent colors, and then now to opalescent colors. Each ray has a guardian of that ray, as well as specific applications that include assistance for humanity in all realms, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social realms, and every single one of us is vitally needed on earth at this time and is essential to the outworking of the divine plan at this time, which includes learning how to work with the rays. In fact, now this is very interesting, and I just discovered this. In May of 2001, the etheric city of Shambhala, the city of light that was anchored over the Gobi Desert, was etherically relocated by the Ascended Master hierarchy to Sedona, Arizona, to house the consciousness of Lord Maitreya and Lord Gautama Buddha, to bring humanity to a new era and a new consciousness. Now, you see the chart there of Ray 22, the opalescent emerald green ray. The master of the ray is John the Beloved, Apostle, and Angel Jophiel. They work together. Now, this ray is, as you can see, for putting out fire, for removing smoke, and purifying polluted conditions using fire. You could purify water using fire. You could purify the conditions in a building or on a piece of land. Now, you can create your own invocations when you're working with the masters, but we're going to use the following one as a template for Ray 22, the opalescent emerald green ray.
In the name of our beloved Creator, the Absolute Most High, I invoke John the Beloved and Angel Jophiel and ask that all energy work that is done through my body be in alignment with the divine plan for planet Earth and all species of life on Earth and beyond. Through the power of my mighty I Am presence and through the power vested in me by the cosmic Christ consciousness, deliberately I call for the 22nd ray, the opalescent emerald ray of fire, to calm and transmute this situation. For example, to quench the Canadian fires and quell the smoke. Thank you, and so be it.
Thank you, Jim. Now we're going to do a role play, and we've done role plays throughout our careers in teaching workshops and retreats. And this one is going to show you a new skill set called inquiry. There are many, many ways to do inquiry. Every spiritual group has their particular way, and all of them can be very efficacious. As humanity moves to higher awareness, each one of us will be developing keener self-knowledge. This role play is called How Do You Manipulate Other People? It's designed to make us aware of the ways we try to control others without realizing it. I will ask Jim the same question 3 times, and then he will answer it, and I'll thank him each time, and he'll ask me the same question 3 times. Now, we're going to give you an assignment to do this with a partner before we meet again next month, and this will bring a great deal of awareness to your consciousness of social conditioning and gender conditioning and ways of operating that you were not even aware that you use on a regular basis, so that you can open up the possibilities of more ways to interact with people without having to manipulate them. Now then, Jim, what are some of the ways that you manipulate other people?
I notice what they might need, and I provide it for them. I help them get things done, perhaps, that they need help with.
Thank you. Jim, what are some other ways that you manipulate people?
I subtly try to get them to feel a little bit guilty if they don't step up to do their share of the work.
Thank you. Jim, what are some other ways that you manipulate people?
If they're having a problem, I step in and ask if they'd like some help with solving that problem, and I help them with it.
Thank you. All right. Now,
So, Connie,
yes.
tell me how you manipulate people.
If someone is being very overbearing and bullying with me, then I will raise the tone of my voice and give it a bit of a sharp edge to let them know they should keep their distance.
Connie, tell me a way in which you manipulate people.
If somebody is very intimidated by me, which some people are for some reason, or if they're very shy or soft-spoken, then I will drop my voice to nearly a whisper so that they have to lean in, and then we can reach a level of intimacy more quickly, and then we will be able to be on the same heart-to-heart level.
Thank you. Connie, tell me a way in which you manipulate people.
If there is something unusual going on or there is tension in the air, I will make a joke to cause everybody to relax and to de-stress, and then we'll restart the topic, or I'll move the topic in a slightly different direction.
Thank you. So one key element of this process is that the person who asks the question makes absolutely no comments about the response.
Yes, you are neutral, and you always thank the person for sharing, and you just don't jump in and start talking about your experiences. Certainly not. You are quiet, and as Jim said, you're attentive, you're respectful, and you don't talk until it's your turn.
You simply say thank you after they've given you a response.
Yes. Now, another way to stay aware of how you might work with people or work with yourself is the assignment we're going to give you now on this topic. Okay, so we covered that on the sign there, and we get thank you. So one of the next questions is going to be, how do you distract yourself or procrastinate? Or how do you distract yourself in order to procrastinate? That will be one of your assignments this month in practicing inquiry with a partner, asking the two sets of questions just mentioned. So, for example, I'm quite aware that one of the ways that I procrastinate is that, for example, if I need to wash the floor, and housework is my least favorite activity of all time, then I'll think, oh, I have to call somebody. Even if it's somebody I haven't talked to in a long time and I really don't need to talk with them, I will do just about anything to avoid washing the floor. So that is one of the things that I do. Now that you know how that works, you can think, when it's time for you to work with a partner, about how you distract yourself or procrastinate. Now, another way that we can be aware of time. These things have to do with time, like procrastination, putting things off. We must be aware of time because time waste is life waste, as we know. Time is passing all the time, rushing through the hourglass, so to speak. And we're all mortal, at least at the moment. When our expiration date is up, it's up. And as has been said so often by Satya Sai Baba, each of us has a certain allotted number of breaths. And when those breath numbers are up, it's finished. And he can change that at his will, but it's very seldom that he extends someone's life. Now, to be aware of passing time and our mortality, we're going to create a memento mori reminder. And we have a chart on that. Now, memento mori means a reminder of my mortality. I am aware, I remember that I am mortal. A visible reminder to keep yourself on track with your spiritual goals is to, for example, create signs around your house or in your car, to wear a special ring or a bracelet that you can just have on your wrist at all times. Or you can put a dot on your watch. So every time you look at the time, you're reminded that I will not be here forever. Or you can paint a thumbnail blue or gold. Now, I've noticed recently people are already painting their thumbnails blue or gold, and I'm not sure what that means. So you better find out what it means if you do that, or paint it some particular color so you're not giving the wrong signal to somebody. That was my thought, but you could do any number of things that would work for you.
So once again, what are we remembering when we notice our memento mori?
That it's a visible reminder to keep you on track with your spiritual goals. In other words, if friends say, oh, why don't you come out to such and such a restaurant and we'll just have fun all night? But you don't want to especially be around that crowd of people, and they just hang out and they don't really accomplish much. They're not very productive, and you just don't want to get off track, because you've noticed every time you go out with them, then you eat and drink things you shouldn't, and it throws you off track and you feel bad the next day. So it's to remind you to be firm and resolved about what you're here for in the body, on the earth, and how you have goals that you are developing so that you can help with world uplift.
So you notice that you've got that bracelet on, and that reminds you, oh, that's not where I'm going, what I'm doing.
That's exactly right. And also, if people call that you don't want to talk to, and they tend to talk for a very long time and to try to pick your brain about this or that, or just waste time, then it reminds me not to pick up the phone, or to pick it up and talk for 3 minutes only. Now we're going to watch the Masters of Light slideshow. And
Let's see, were we going to talk about this?
Yes, let's do that first. All right. Now, this is our mini spiritual healing kit. You can put it in a Ziploc bag, and you could include flower essences. In fact, Jim, why don't you take the items out of the bag? And you'll see that we have the Bach flower remedy, which is rescue remedy. That's good to carry with you. And also, yes, you can put that in it. You can also carry the St. Raphael healing oil, and you can search online for that. They have a wonderful site, and that is very effective against every disease that we've ever known about. You can also use a particular essential oil if you have been working with that, doing healing with that, or if you need to anoint someone. And also, you can use the Sai Baba Lingam photo, which is very useful in healing and bringing people out of comas, and also in resurrecting them. And we have known a number of people that have used it in resurrecting people that had departed the body. Now then, and you can also have your Saint Archangel Raphael prayer card in order to put the Archangel Raphael healing oil on someone that might need it. And then there's finally, for our Sai devotees, Sai Baba's sacred, fragrant, healing Vibhuti ash. Now then, we are going to see the Masters of Light slideshow, and we've covered Memento Mori.
So now we'll get ready for gazing. Let's put our feet flat on the floor and our hands face up in a receptive position in our laps. Take a few moments to get in our minds very clearly 3 or 4 intentions or prayers or wishes for ourselves or for our loved ones, things we'd like to have come into our lives to improve them or leave our lives to improve them. Before gazing, we always do a breathing exercise where we breathe in deeply, raise our shoulders, and then we imagine our consciousness dropping into our heart's center. So let's do that right now. Let's breathe in deeply, raise your shoulders up towards your ears. Now, breathe out, imagine your consciousness dropping into your heart center, and notice the feeling when your consciousness reaches that point. Once again, deep breath in. Breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center, noticing that feeling where you're connecting with all that is. A third time, deep breath in, shoulders up. Exhale, consciousness down into your heart center, noticing your connection with all that is. And now imagine your consciousness going out into the universe, connecting with your idea of the quantum field of love, feeling your consciousness wrap around it and it wrap around you. Feeling the warmth, the love, the joy. And now come back into the room. If you have photos, this is the time to put them up, either on the floor or in front of you, whatever works. And now we will begin gazing.
Thank you. Now our precious moments together have fled, and it's time to wrap up the program. We're going to see the chart of what we covered today. We covered grounding and presence by focusing on the feet and the belly. Ancient mystery schools unveiled, self-awareness and deconditioning, how to do inquiry, 49 rays of God, the 22nd ray invocation, sorry for that typo, the mini spiritual healing kit you can create and put anything in it that you want, memento mori, and then the assignments. So we're going to practice inquiry 3 times in the next month, that is, with either the same person 3 times or 3 different people. And then we're going to create and wear a memento mori. I'd like to know what you select. And then we're going to practice the invocations for fires, floods, and winds. And then focus on the feet and the belly, as we said. Now then, also remember to add the question, how do you distract yourself and procrastinate from doing certain tasks?
And the other one that we did
is, how do you manipulate people? Exactly.
So those are 2 examples that you can use in your assignment, and you may be able to come up with some other ones for your inquiry.
Now that we've come to the end of the program, we thank the Lord, the angels, and the saints and masters for all their blessings, gifts, and the healing they have given to you today. Our next gazing will be on July 15th at 2 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. God bless you and your loved ones, and may you enjoy mastering your new skills to help others until we see you again. Now you may meditate for as long as you like. Farewell and namaste.